What's up, guys? Hello, hello. All right, morning, everyone. I know we're kicking this off a little earlier than usual. Um, we have I got some news. I got some good news over here. So today we got actually kind of three key moments. We got ADP that just went down, which was under the forecasted, and then we have New York Open in about a little over an hour. And then we got ISM services here in at 9 a.m. So we got a couple key things. Gonna kind of break this down to kick things off here as well. And as you guys are seeing over here, so let me zoom out real quick. We just got the liquidity sweep of all of what we saw building up during New York session, Asian session, London session. So we're actually starting to see this move. So I like this right now. This could be the beginning of a potential mitigation right here. So you see ADP. I really didn't have a setup here before the news. So we got a nice sweep of the highs right here. Basically just take care of all the money that's built up through here. Now I'm sure you guys are noticing the market does a nice sweep below, starts to rally, it tries to break above all of this and then fails. So typically I don't really want to trade in this zone here because of we clear the liquidity and then we break above here for a little bit, but now that we've failed to make this high, I don't think this is gonna work too much. So this isn't a trade I take, especially when we're seeing this could turn into a distribution. And then you can obviously see Nasdaq doing similar movement, but NQ didn't even take out these highs. It tried, but it made more liquidity. So I'm more focused on seeing like the market get below London session lows. Couldn't hardly sleep. Feeling good. Let's go. So we got a nice move here. London lows, you got Tokyo lows, and Tokyo lows actually are kind of clean. We had a nice push down. London lows actually played into these Tokyo lows right here. There's a bit more of an imbalance below this, but I'm honestly I see where we had New York lows sweep and run. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what we're trading into today. So we have like this last push down. Market rallies, has continued to move on up. So trading down into here makes more sense in my opinion. So we're going to want to pay attention to these lower levels. If we can get into sells and write it down to these areas, would love that. So let's look at a couple things here. Okay, here we go. I had that zone that London played out of, but I didn't take it because I was sleeping. Be like that, bro. It be like that. All right, so let's tackle on this first one. So yes or no, is this a worthy zone to trade out of right over here right now? We're seeing Dow Jones at this area. S&P almost getting there, and Nasdaq kind of trading into here. So let's go 1 minute. We see this was the 6 a.m. here Chicago time, spike down, the market rallies. So the question is this worth the mitigation? You know, for me, like, yes, we break above on the smallest of time frames, but the failure to make, my bad, here, because we struggle to actually break through these highs over here. I feel like now that the market, like especially Dow, like it's already swept tons of liquidity, there's kind of less incentive to get here right away. There's not the pull towards liquidity. There's definitely a smart money buy that can mitigate here. That I totally see. So I'm more focused on getting a sell than it is to get a buy for this specific structure. So I'm gonna hold off, especially because we still have more imbalance, and we could definitely see this go take out Tokyo lows. Now, what I also want to see is, are we? Can we? Is the market going to want to get down to here? So looking at this, we see a buildup of liquidity right here. So we're kind of moving sideways, all in the zone. Here you get the big push down. So take a look at this. We're going back to yesterday's New York session. And here, right, is building up retail buyers in the zone. Spikes up. We see it start to drop down one last time, and then we see the market rally. So seeing a sell-off from like right here, this has some potential. So this has possibilities to play throughout today. This would be doing a great job of clearing up London Asian lows. So makes sense. Obviously, there's a lot of pullbacks that the market might want to chop through. But I feel significantly better looking for this instead. We saw this just drop into the zone here. Let's see, where's S&P? S&P hasn't even got down to where it pulled back. Now, I don't like S&P buys at all in this range. A lot of liquidity here. Lots of liquidity. And then NQ even here is the open, the drop. Right now, we're getting a reversal really quick. So look at how we're pulling back already with NASDAQ. I would love to see NQ take out the highs. And then look at the difference in price action. YM is starting to bounce a little bit, just a little bit. So we had the super liquidity, takes out the highs. Now it breaks below this low. YM pushing up a lot slower. S&P and Q already it's already halfway there. So it's already reversed. So this is pushing higher really quickly. So if we can see NQ over here, then clear this out and break above all of this. So if we end up seeing NASDAQ just trade way up here, get above these highs, and then YM is still in that zone, that could be worth a shot for sure. So seeing us clear all of this liquidity, that would bring the market overall, trading higher, more into this imbalance, maybe even up to here. But right now, yeah, it definitely looks like NQ might be shooting for taking out these Tokyo highs over here, while YM chilling. It's reversing, but slowly. This is what we want. And then to get specific with entries, here's the 15-second. So we see it's a quick spike and an instant 35, 40 point drop. So the entry really in this zone for YM. Entries look good around 47,671. Right over here. So I like the entries around here. And then let's see. I haven't looked at what MYM looks like. It's very different actually. So the difference between YM and MYM, a little bit different. Obviously, they have, there's different volume in both, but you're gonna want to trade what you're seeing here with YM. Right? This is where you have the most money. There's the most volume here. So this is where it's gonna be a bit more precise. So placing your stops, at least if I'm placing my stops up here. So it is going to be a little bit bigger of a stop. We're looking at still not that big, everything being considered. It's like 35 points. And then we got ways we can go with that, but yeah, okay. It's not too bad. So if we're bringing this back to MYM, all right, entry here, 47,671. So like right there. Session disconnected. Okay. This ended up closing me out, and I just didn't end up re-entering. So I ended up getting a little bit there. Let's see, where am I logged in at? All right, give me 1 second, y'all. Un segundo. In the meantime, if y'all want to like and subscribe, feel free. All right. I'm not logged in. Okay. Connection warning. I'm logged in somewhere else. Am I logged in here? I am logged in here. Okay. Got it. Okay. So, looking at an order here, we're looking at sell limit and then stop loss. Want to get this more precise to here. So above 47,696. That's kind of what I'm looking for. 47,696. What's 38 units? Sick. We're starting to see NQ, S&P. Actually, looks like these are starting to mitigate um, what we got right before the news event. So it's rejecting that zone, which is fine. In my opinion, the longer we're able to stay bearish, obviously the better the outcomes are, the more likely it is that the market's going to want to stay within the zone. So give me a sec. Let me set this up real quick. And then what was my number? 38 right there. All right. Okay, so we're set. Sweet. Good to go over here. All right, cool. That's set. Ready to roll. We got NQ alerts all set as well. In the meantime, let's go take a look at some majors over here. Let's see, crypto looks like it's pushing again. Dang. Okay. KeyCat, ski some movement, Chainlink. Let's go. All right, crypto. Good little bounce today. Bitcoin sitting at 93. Love that. All right, got a little momentum going here. All right, actually, before majors, let's look at metals. Before metals, escape me once again. All right, so the sell on gold looks good still. Same old, same old. We had that between gold and silver. Silver a lot more bullish overall. And then the big move that we saw yesterday, right? Yesterday we got that big spike down, traded down into here. So just played into structure really well. Rebalanced, off it went. And that's this big spike right here. Big move down. All right. Here you can notice how we have, this is where people wanted buys. You see support, all that good stuff. And then you see the big spike down right there. Money comes in, clears out a whole bunch of support, works its way right back up. We start to trade actually a little bit higher. So we get above the big spike down. So now we want to have the market help us establish bullish structure. So it comes back into here again. This creates more liquidity. So there's creating more and more of a narrative that there's retail buyers building up here. So what we want to see, honestly, ideally, we want to get this to break above and to stay bullish. If you're looking at silver, silver has very similar trading. Take a look. This push down here happens during New York session yesterday, 9:50 a.m. Central. So this is about an hour and 20 minutes after New York open. And then look at silver. So look at how when this goes above, it's pushing. It doesn't quite break above the previous high yet. Meanwhile, silver got that same push down right there. Big move down here. This plays out of an order block, but this doesn't mitigate the sell-off right there. So take a look at this again. And this actually starts dropping. It looks like right here. So liquidity, push down, this thing rips from here. And then we do actually break above the previous highs, and we're still not quite down here. So both silver and gold have potential. Kind of got to see how we get our ways down there. Okay, so take a look at this, guys. We're seeing S&P, NQ pick up some momentum. These are now trading in where the market pushed up, and Dow also, slowly but surely making its way up. We've been now trading below this 1 minute structure for the last 20 minutes or so. So decent enough. The big thing, I would love for this setup to be solid. And the fact that we would get a strong reversal, we got to see NASDAQ clear these highs. NASDAQ takes these highs out, and that sets up Dow, then we're golden. If it doesn't, man, it leaves us vulnerable, because this is easily an option for the market. So let's let the market kind of show its hand. Okay. So here with silver, the reaccumulation continues. The market, giving pullbacks, becoming efficient, trading out of here. So everything is very, very efficient. All the pullbacks, retracements, there's no imbalances left for silver except for this one right here. So if we're gonna create, okay, what's the setups? What can the setups look like just for today? These are kind of what I'm banking on. Oh, this thing was so funny. This had me cracking up. Oh no, I don't. Oh man, good stuff. All right, let me unpin this. All right, Toby. Are you on here? Are you on the live, Toby? When we can't get NFP, we go ADP. Why not, right? Why not? All right. Today's setups, and then we got September. What am I doing? December 3rd, 2025. Okay, so metals here. We got silver. And honestly, the entries that I like here, we've seen some pretty good reversals out of this range. So there's some decent support and resistance right off the open. And then you have lower in the zone support, a lot of support. So let's actually go to the 5 minute here. And we kind of saw it chop up before it ripped. So I could see it break below. I think I'm going to go half R at entries over here and half R's at entries over here. So we got some good setups right there. And then you got the more aggressive, or the not really aggressive, but the deeper retracement, the discounted entry over here. The RR obviously is better. Where we take this to right now is kind of going to be dependent on how and when we work our way down. But I'll use this reversal point that we've seen constantly right here as an exit level. So we'll use that for now. So if the conservative entry here gives us a 2.68 R, and then the more discounted entry would give us a 5.39. This here would average out to basically a 4R if they both trigger. So here is silver. And then gold. Similar idea. Gold, however, has way more support here pretty constantly in these areas. So a less deep of a retracement. If you want to get to the deeper, like if you want to look at structure, price action, we kind of see it, push back, chop up in here. So you kind of you already kind of see the pullback into where we've seen structure before. So trading into this area here, you might just see this pulls into imbalance. Honestly, I think we're going to get back into this order block if this is the one that's more valid. It's going to just depend on how we work our way down. If, gold or silver are less, like if on the way down, gold is not dropping as aggressively as silver is, then maybe this will be the play. As of right now, silver looks a bit more qualified. So we'll look at this. We'll keep it conservative for now, because I don't exactly know how we're gonna work our way down. And then you got the sell up here. The sell I like a lot with gold. So looks good. And the sell, I am looking for trades like over here. So we've seen reversals pretty constantly out of these areas. All over here. Consistently. So I'll push for something like this. In this area. 42.90. I'm cool with 42.90. And then, yeah, trading at least to where we've seen these key levels of reversals over here. So here is gold. I know we're slowly starting to get to Dow over here. Okay, so things changing a little bit over here. NQ losing the steam. S&P losing some of that steam. And Dow also, still working its way down a little bit. So a bit choppy. NQ here looks like it's rejecting all of this. S&P as well, and then Dow is chilling. So looks like we might even be waiting this out until New York Open. Yep. And okay, so honestly now we've been waiting for a bit, right? So we saw the clearance of this liquidity here. So we see the market moving sideways. We get this push down here a couple hours ago, about hour 45. You see it rally. Okay. So now you're within this range. Taking an entry in here would be mitigating this low, but you don't really have the validation of higher structure on the 5-minute. So these are the trades that have a higher probability of failure, considering that all we've been doing is pushing higher and higher and higher for the last, what is this, like almost 2 weeks, 10 days or so. So we're getting to key levels here where things could keep going. but we're more and more getting closer to reversals out of this zone. And like structure wise, right now, looking at where we're at from the last New York session to where we're at, so this 24-hour turnaround, we really have the lows way down here where we clear this and then we rip to the upside. So I think there's a much better chance of buys trading out of yesterday's New York low. So you see this push below. This is where we also sweep liquidity. So you have tons of buyers that were in here. Clears that. Nice little sweep. Market rips from here. So this is the big push down, the final liquidity capture, and then everything runs from this moment. And we don't come back to close this out yet. So NQ's key reversal zone for the day is over here. And then for sells, again, sweeping liquidity, maybe we get a shakeout or something. But for what we have in front of us, what we can count on is this. So I'll do a 15-minute so it looks better here. There we go. Okay. So we got that. Indices. NQ. So I'm consciously going to be avoiding this 1 minute stuff within all of this. This is squeezing a lot, so honestly, like, I expect big breakouts. If the market plays out of this low in here on the 1 minute, so right, this is the smaller time frame. The market always is going to prioritize what's happening big picture, and that sometimes sacrifices the smaller movements here. If you look at S&P, this has liquidity, so this doesn't even have the setup. And if you look at Dow, obviously this is trading a lot closer to this level than NQ is. So yeah, right now I'm sticking with this idea. Miss out on the 1 minute stuff, but able to take better positioning, higher probability trades. Okay. Got alerts here. I'm going to have another set of alerts so I'm ready once it hits that one. All right, so that takes care of metals, oil. Why don't I have an oil? I still don't have this oil chart here. Hold on. I got to save this one, actually. All right, now we're in business. So yesterday, one sec, my bad. All right, so yesterday we got oil that pushed down to basically where we had liquidity. Now, from my understanding, the micro version of this looked different. It actually broke below or like something. It just wasn't the same, right? From what I saw, the screenshots that I saw here from TopStep, they just looked different. So this trade ended up working out for many of you. So good stuff. You know, it's always great. And then we see oil. Oil did a nice little push down here, so swept some more liquidity, and then rallied. So right now, is there a setup here? Would I want to take this buy? So despite this clearing out some of these New York session lows, pushing down into here. So even though we do see like a little bit of a sell-off in the rally, I'm unwilling to buy because of this liquidity. So right now, I'm just keeping very, very, very patient. Not looking to trade in here either. I think we're already like, I don't really see mitigation anymore. Like everything is set in stone. There's a little bit of a push up here, but this doesn't even clear highs. So it's kind of a little tricky to get into something with oil, at least for me. So I'm going to wait and just see if we get just completely new information later in the day and we get something. Otherwise, there's just no rush at all. All right. So yesterday we were looking at Swiss franc and we were starting to see whether it was going to break below, make lower lows, or this thing was just going to keep rallying. It After we saw the smart money buys here and this thing pumps like crazy, we then saw it collapse, but it didn't hold up the imbalance. Like it broke below. It tried making lower lows, but it also failed to make lower lows, and this just rallied again. So still really nothing here with Swiss franc, for me at least, until we get all the way up here. So with like, based on where we're at right now, not too much to go towards with the Swiss. Okay, look at this. NQ starting to get that bullish momentum. Looks like it's starting to get a little closer to that, sweeping that Tokyo high here. All right, so we'll come back for that. We have the alert set for that. Let me make sure it's the audio here so I could hear it. Yeah, okay, perfect. All right, Australian, staying busy. Big spike down during Asian session, huge push, clears these lows, and then rallies. So this has been bullish. Healthy price action across the board. A little bit of imbalance way down here, but currently this is doing a pretty good job. As quickly as this came down, came right back up, and then for the last 12 hours or so, bullish, just pushing. So all right, this is here. Could be a key reversal point right here. All right, so now the question is, how does the rest of the dollar pairs look? The rest of these majors. Are they super bullish? Is Australian just like on a rampage here? What are we looking like? 6N, definitely not the same. Didn't have the similar push down, and not as aggressive on the way up. CAD futures, not really any setups here either. Euro. Okay, so Euro here has a push down during yesterday's New York session. Liquidity, sad. It's been rallying though. Can't take that away from it. It's been very bullish. However, the downside is it's just liquidity down here. The yen. So the yen, massive pump, works its way down to here. Trades out of these order blocks. And the yen actually leaves liquidity here, though. So no entries for me either here. Now look at how things are getting a little interesting here with indices. Dow coming right back down to the lows for the last hour. S&P crashing down too, and we have NQ working its way down. I have a feeling this NQ buy is going to work out right here. Like this section right there. I feel like we're going to end up getting a bounce out of here. Because the structure here at least was relatively sustainable. Like we traded up here for almost 2 hours. So would I take this with the full R? No. Maybe something small, but it's holding up pretty well. Let's see. Maybe if we're seeing like Dow take out London lows, like it's already, let's say this is already liquidated orders, then yeah, maybe that works out a bit better for NQ. But for now, we're getting more and more validation for the sell. The sell, at least on Dow, keeps kind of building more and more evidence that, okay, this is staying down here, so we could get a good idea. So here's what I'll do. I'll go half risk on an NQ buy only if Dow takes out the London lows. So if Dow clears these lows, then I'm open to a half risk buy on NQ since we liquidated. It's decent enough structure. It's been above here this whole time. So if that's the case, I'm open to half risk. So let's see, trading out of here. Probably like 7 contracts maybe. Yeah. All right. But this is just going to be if, right? That's the big thing. If we see things line up. If not, then I have no, I'm not like, panicking to be in the market. That's the kind of energy you got to keep, All right. Meanwhile, the big mover is the pound. The pound keeps just going crazy. So we see a push below. This cracks below this low one last time right here. So let's look at this on the 5-minute. You see one more push. All right, one last move down, and then this thing rips. There's a little bit of an imbalance in here, so could we be seeing a buy later over here? This could take a while, honestly. So, but right now, the biggest bullish mover is the pound. Look at how much it's been ripping ever since breaking above Monday highs, trading way, way, way up into these zones. Now the pound is trading towards October price action. So super, super bullish. Compare this to the yen, definitely not on the same page. Euro is pushing too, similarly, but pound is just a bit more aggressive. So keeping my eyes on that for sure. All right, back to, look at this. Dow's about to clear these lows. Where does that bring NQ? Ooh, NQ, too aggressive. No chance, guys. All right, we don't want to take this. Oh, we can't. So, all right, London clearing the lows. All right, so let's zoom out real quick. God things got aggressive over here. Okay, nice. So sadly, we didn't get the sell, which is what we wanted. So no sell, not at least not yet. And then, so if we look at the lows that we got from New York and the timing of them, Nasdaq's was earlier in the day. So here is the structure. We're getting over to here. All right, right now we're barely at a 38.2 pullback, just going into yesterday's New York session. This is respecting the Tokyo lows really well. S&P clearing London lows, trading into the imbalance here. So between S&P and Nasdaq, S&P is way less aggressive, and then you have Dow that's trading into here. So look at this. Honestly, the buy with S&P when it clears this low, not a bad deal. NQ already bleeding out, taking out London lows, Tokyo lows. Look at this. Wow. Aggressive. This is where I thought we were going to get reversals out of. This is just happening really quickly, so obviously I can't really get in there. But this is where I wanted to buy right now. Like, yeah, that looks solid. Now that we cleared Tokyo lows, traded right into here. Here's where things may switch up. So look at how it's just eating up these levels. Anyone take S&P buys by any chance? This would already be a clean reversal over here. You got Dow clearing those levels. So let's look at NQ, 50% pullback here. S&P clearing this out. And then we have Dow Jones. So here is the idea. About a 618 pullback on Dow. And Q pulling back a bit less aggressively. The low that we got for Dow was at 1240. Meanwhile, the low that we got for NQ was way earlier. So 618 pullback there. 618 pullback on Dow. Oof. The plot thickens. So, all right, let's see if we're going to be ready for both, right? So let's say that we get an entry for NQ somewhere in here. So what does that look like? So let me pull this up. Got to move a little quickly here. Say we were to take a buy here. What the heck? All right. This looks like, what, 5 contracts? If we were to take this one, okay. Getting close, man. And then Dow buys, in my opinion, to be closer to the 886 over here. So, all right. So roughly 5 contracts if we're going to go with NQ. If we're going to go with Dow. For some reason, this isn't moving anymore. And then, yeah, if we were going to take our shot with Dow here, let's see. Looks like 26 contracts. good. So, all right, I have mine set up here. Or at least now I'm more aware. And I'm going to go split screen because these are moving kind of quick. So we got Dow on the left. And Q on the right. What's it going to be, folks? What's it going to be? Looks like Dow is kind of holding up a bit better. Anyone catch the short somehow? Like, just something you saw was like, you know, you're just like, oh, no, yeah, I'm going to short this thing. I sold Dow. Oh, Brandon, what a G. All right, so look at this. NQ already at a 786 pullback into this 10 a.m. Dow a little bit slower. So we're going to be leaning into trading Dow instead. And then the entry that I'm looking at here on Dow is around 47,413. All right, 47,413. And the stop at 47,375. All right, so go back over here. And Q already at an 886 pullback. S&P deep pullback as well. And then Dow is almost there. All right. Okay. Getting pretty close. All right, in the zone. All right, so this just tapped into it. It is possible that it plays off the open and it just goes, rips, leaves without us. That's totally a possibility. Would love if it didn't do that. That would be great. All right, so as of now, little bounce. Let's see, is there something else around here? Like, does S&P need to break below or anything? Looks like it does. All right, cool. Now we're playing out of here. So I'm about 20 points out, or I was, from entry. Dude, no. Don't mitigate without us. Come back. The drop was, what, like 76 points or something? So if this thing keeps ripping the way it looks like it's doing right now, then that would be mitigation. So I'm gonna wait it out. Can't chase it. If you think the RR is still worth it, and let's say it's within the zone, and you want to take, let's say, maybe you want to go half risk in first, just to make sure you can catch some of it. Feel free to do your thing. Right now, I'm not gonna really make any changes because you have to do the math on the contracts and all that. So yeah, I'm not really looking to force anything here right now. So I'm just gonna keep my setup where it is. And then if you're wondering the logic behind the entry, I can show you here real quick. So basically, this is the last, like right over here, is where we had an order block as well. So you see a little dip. I don't know if you guys can see this right here. You see a little dip right there, and then it rips. So this is kind of like where we see a little bit of traffic. It sells off from here, clears the lows, goes, and then it goes up, one more push down, and then the reversal. So this is kind of the logic behind the entry in here. I'm going to the 1 minute just so you guys can see it. So it's like right now, this is where it's rejecting out of. Like this order block is where it's playing out of right now. I had just like an entry in this little section here. So it just pushes, no pullbacks into this zone. So that's where I had it. But I get it why it's reversing now. Like this is another move as well. So yeah, so I mean, look at these nice moves down, loses momentum, pushes down, loses momentum. So like I mentioned over here, if you were looking to take a trade, then obviously you would be more inclined to take your trade probably near the open, but then have a significantly smaller risk. So let's say you wanted to go half risk in here somewhere. Then instead of having your stop loss goes to the same place, but then you're gonna want this to be secure. So clearly you see the difference in contracts if you're risking 250 over 500, and then you're significantly higher, so your stop is, your entry is way up here. So something like this, let's say you want to have half the ammo here, and then if it does pull back, you can take the other half of your trade over here. So then you'd have 7 contracts in here. You'd have 13, at least for me, I'd have 13 in here. So total, I'd only be trading with 20 contracts instead of the original 26. But that's if I wanted to split my risk in this way. All right. Right now, I'm cool with just waiting it out. We have New York open here in 16 minutes. So I think it's more of a personal choice. It's like if you want to get it to be in for sure, then you could do that, right? You could do what I just showed you. You could cut your risk. You can have half a position here, wait for your other half, and you're still gonna have a decent setup nonetheless. So this is like a more, it's like the best of both worlds. You know what I mean? So if you have one entry here, you're gonna average out your entry around like down here or something. Worst case, you're in half R, and then you're still able to catch a good chunk of the movement. Oh, S&P took out New York lows. Okay. Yeah, this might actually run then. S&P took out New York lows, and Q did not yet. Interesting. Let's see. Nasdaq's got some imbalance over here, so I feel like we can go a little bit lower, just trade into here a little deeper. Maybe NQ wants to get into some of this action here, and then everything reverses magically and beautifully. S&P holding up decent. Here's where we start keeping in mind price action. Like we're starting to see NQ pick up a little bit of momentum after getting below again. S&P now starting to make higher lows, actually. So where is it here as well? All right. What are you guys doing here? Splitting risk, waiting for a lower zone. Are you already in? Are you active in here? Let's see. Too fast. Buy busy. Okay, sold out. Nice. Buen día. I had to delete NQ on the quicks. Yeah, gotta be ready, you know. My entry's off at the 886 for YM. Okay, solid. There was news earlier, Brandon. So that's why I was live earlier. Wow, so NQ mitigating strongly out of here, deep pullbacks, and this is especially right after we had S&P clear those New York lows. So like I mentioned, I had a feeling we were gonna want to get some momentum going, and playing out like that. Okay, Dow still hasn't quite mitigated though, so I'm waiting. I'm holding up right now. I'm not gonna take any buys now that we're starting to rip. I'm curious if we see NQ pull back, maybe we get YM back down here. We can figure something out. For sells, yeah. So sells on. I'm originally so earlier in the session we were waiting for YM sells, but YM didn't get high enough to mitigate. So then we just didn't end up taking anything. Um, But yeah, right now we're about to see the full mitigation of NQ after the deep pullback into this last point of supply right here. So this YM is still technically valid. So I want to see if NQ loses gas and then this starts to push down and kind of what this does to Dow Jones buys. This is kind of what I'm looking at here. But NASDAQ looks like it's basically done its thing already. Tyler. Who the fuck's Tyler? Is anyone having issues with Apex and Rhythmic? I've been having major issues and can't even close a trade. I use Replicanto as my trade copier. So, hi, my name is Mike. And second, you may have to update your Replicanto. So, yeah, you may have to update that first if you're having issues with the trade copier. I've never used Rhythmic. I use Tradetopia. But yeah, is there any other way I can trade with Apex and NinjaTrader using Replicanto as your trade copier? You can do it through Tradevit. I do that, but just make sure you're always updating your Replicanto. Otherwise, like, you could have issues. Waiting for a swing sell? Yeah, that'd be nice. I love that. I would love to see NQ take out Tokyo highs and then that set up these YM shorts. Both of those would be nice. All right, so we saw NQ do its thing, losing some steam here. I still kind of have this nagging feeling that we're going to see NQ get into this zone while YM is still trading in this like 886. So let's see. I'm gonna be patient there. YM setup still for me valid. Downloaded the newest version of Replicanto yesterday. Then I can't help you. Maybe reach out to them. Yeah, not my. I've never used Rhythmic, so I can't really help you. Wish I could. Okay, so I'm on MNQ. Oh, nice. Okay. Split risk between both in NAS currently. Yo no compré, no, estoy esperando comprar con Dow. Quería comprar un poco más abajo. Remember, we have New York open in 8 minutes, so that could be the catalyst. Might get a little sell to buy. Sipping coffee. Cool. Enjoy. Buen provecho. Yeah, so at least the mitigation here is it's like it's been really slow. Did we have what was this? Like we didn't really have anything here. Something someone must have said something. What was the catalyst here for this extra bit of volatility out of nowhere? This is just started cooking. What was the excuse here? Drone strikes on drug boats? Is that what it was? Um, hmm. Let me check. I'm looking. I'm looking to see what we got. What we got going on here. Not much. All right. Whatever. So look. Right now, this big picture, Dow is still trading above a 786, while NQ is actually still below it. So I can still see us get the entry that we're looking for down here. Mine is here, so just so you guys are in the know-how, mine's right there. Not that, but over here. So lower. I think with New York Open, we might get a little bit of chaos. You can always expect a little bit of fun. In the meantime, if you're new here, say what's up. Drop a 1. And then also, you'll see a whole bunch of different options to get value here through our community. So you got like our playbooks, how to build a system, understanding like entry exit models and all that good stuff. So you'll see those. If you guys need them, just scan the QR code. They're all free. All right. So dollar gained some strength as well. So we're seeing the market start to drop a bit. So Australian dropped down to that, starting to come back to these levels. We got NZD, but that's kind of it. We didn't really have any entries that we're waiting for right away. We had these gold and silver ideas as well. So actually, let me just publish this. I know I sent NQ. We were waiting for possible buys down there that we were waiting for, which we already got to. But so that's not really relevant anymore because we were waiting for, to see which was pulling back more, etc. So here is Dow for the buy. So here YM. What's interesting about current price action between NQ and Dow is just NQ started to rally more aggressively right now, like recently. So we're starting to see it started to pick up a lot more momentum. So the only thing that's kind of throwing me off on this buy for Dow is like, look, now we're all the way over here. Like this is also NQ is well above the 786. So I want to see how this opens. 3 minutes, folks. 3 minutes. If this just keeps ripping and it goes without us, whatever. Guess we're just gonna have to wait for a completely different trade. Only thing you saw was Delta. Delta reported 200 million hit from reduced flight schedules 30 minutes ago. Yeah, but that's not enough. Delta alone isn't gonna do all this. Damn, this thing's just gonna go, huh? Qué tristeza. What could have been. So, when we talked earlier about having that half risk entry here, at least as of right now, that would have been our best bet. The risk would have been about 60 points. So even then, this was a, like would be seeing almost a 1R. So not the craziest thing in the world. Place an alert if we break down through here. What do you guys think? New York Open, do we just rip to the upside? Are we going to get a pullback? How are we feeling? Are we indifferent? Mexican peso. Chilling. Crypto took a hit too. So what? Little Bitcoin drop. Bitcoin dropped into nowhere near the New York where it was playing out through New York session. I guess kind of. Traded back into structure. Okay, not bad. Nice little move. Clears liquidity. Looks like a possible shakeout here with Bitcoin. This clears a enormous amount of liquidity. Obviously, Dow and NQ just wipes everybody out. Now it's starting to rally. So if maybe we continue to get in balance fills, that might be our next idea, right? We might just happen to have that sort of shakeout opportunity. Yeah, there he goes. Fucking indices, man. Nah, this is mitigation right here. That's a wrap. By like a point, I guess it missed. So here, you see it pushes. This already pushed up like 75 points. So the drop was just about the same. And there it goes. All right, cool. So let me delete my orders, delete my limits. All right, so I deleted everything. No longer looking for anything here. We saw NQ drop right away. And now we're seeing Dow start to push lower a little bit. So now that we've, effectively cleared tons of imbalance, the market squeezed in here. So you knew, like, when you start to move sideways and consolidate like this, it's building up towards a bigger move. I just wanted I wanted the lower entry for the risk reward purposes. If you did take my half risk idea and you saw this, you saw like 1.5 R maybe at best. Meanwhile, we're seeing NQ and S&P work its way lower, actually, while Dow is pushing higher. So Dow may end up giving us what we're talking about, where it breaks below liquidity, whether it's the London and Tokyo lows. And then if we could see, for example, something like this, where the market kind of just, chops up in here, then we can get an entry in here and then see this thing rally. So this might be the other opportunity. Let's see how the market prints here. So let me turn on my camera. My bad. So we got something like this right now. Starting to build up over here. Okay, where's NQ? ES. These are choppier. So look at where NQ's at. Both mitigated. NQ played out of this level of support. I wonder if this tackles on this low or not. All right. The longer that we see Dow trade up here, more demand that we have for these prices. So if it ever gets exhausted and it pulls back after staying up here for some time, then we have just a better probabilities for the buys. So let's see if we get something like this. And then I would be looking for entries around here. Like here's you got that last push down, stops over here. So let's say we had that specific setup. It would be something like this. Stops over here. Looks like, yeah, like 20 contracts. If we trade like right in here. If you go a little lower, obviously it gets better. But it looks like, yeah, 20, either 20 on the minis or the micros or 2 minis. But I want this to stay up here a little longer. What's up, chat? What y'all got? Ya mitigo. Sí, ya mitigo. 25,560. Possible reversal at 25,560. 25. So you're looking at. That's not how I trade. That's not my trading style at all. I'm not really a break and retest trader. It could, sure, maybe. It's just not. That doesn't really matter to me too much. I don't want to take a break and retest. I'd rather have like one of the main principles behind how at least I trade is just kind of coming back to the same ideas, which is remember the principles of the market, at least that I follow, are understanding that this whole thing is very much orchestrated. That the markets that we're trading is an exchange of money from the impatient to the patient. It's exchanging money from the masses to the few. So the way I approach this is with that understanding. Like, where is liquidity based out of the most? Like, where would the market, get the most money? So can we get involved in the market where the most money is going to be involved in the market? And whether sometimes that's joining buys that they're going to be opening or sells that they're going to be opening, staying out of the market if there is liquidity and things like that. Now, going back to our idea earlier where we were looking for shorts with Dow. So we were looking for shorts with Dow because of how the news event went. ADP was this news. So it popped up, cleared Tokyo highs, and then dropped. So it was waiting on a sell here originally. If you took buys here, now that 60-point stop is up 140. So you're 2.5 R, give or take, around here. Now we're meeting previous levels of support. This can function as resistance. Not that I would sell in here, but we might start to slow down, chop up, and then on a pullback, I'm open to taking something. But so for now, I'm not going to sell Dow. It's got way too much momentum. All right, we've been out of the market this whole time here. there is all of this here right now. So if you take a look, NQ had this last push up before it just started dying. So we had a nice little move up here. The only reason I don't love this sell, even though it took out some liquidity, played into ADP, and then dropped, is because of the Tokyo highs. We have very much highs right here. Like, this is all so close and tight to one another. It just looks like liquidity to me. However, the other side of this is the fact that this is moving on up way slower than Dow. Oh, thanks, man. A little cafecito. Delta alert for the TP. Nice, dude. Yeah, that's fire. That's gas. All right, well, guys, today we did have the trade. It's just we weren't invited to the party. Here, so I'm looking back at what the half entry that I considered taking would look like, and it's yeah, just hit the 3R. Cool. So since it would have been half risk, then it wouldn't have been a 3R in actual profits. It would have been 1.5R in actual profits. So this is a case in which something like that can be worth it. I'd take a 1.5R. Why not? Meanwhile, NQ just suppressed. Not pushing at all. Okay. So I do love this idea that a shakeout is still valid. It would be quite the drop. Oh God, what a drop! This thing would have to tank, and honestly, there's a chance that it plays out of here. I wouldn't take it out of here. It wouldn't meet. I don't really have enough data playing out of like just this. Here's where you start to see the market last sell off, squeeze, and then rip. But yeah, at this point now, if we were to maintain some structure, we've already been bullish for some time. So if this ends up pulling back, I like kind of entries for buys in here. All right. Mitigation was a success. So at least if you want to add this to your case study, so let's say right now you're learning more about the entry model, like the mitigation model, then you can throw this one in there. The sweep of liquidity. This was New York sessions low, and then we saw the divergence, slower to work its way down to here, and obviously you get the massive movement now. So from here, there's a chance that the market wants to bounce out of this. Not an entry model with this. Like, I don't take trades like this, just an imbalance order block. I know some people do. Not my favorite. And then I would prefer to take it here where we were squeezing and then the market played out. S and NQ definitely slows. Mike, wouldn't you avoid selling YM because it's moving there the fastest compared to NQ? Yeah, I already said that. Yeah, make sure you're live. Yo, make sure you guys are live right now. Make sure you're live and not stuck in the earlier part of the session. All right, cool. Yeah, you're good, bro. You're good. So let's be honest. All right, moment of honesty here. With all of this volatility, did you do what you were supposed to do? Which maybe was nothing. Did you do that? Or did some part of you, did you chase something? Why? So let me know in the chat. This is your chance to actually get like some training, so we can talk through why you're making just goofy ass decisions. Yes, did nothing. Yes, disciplined. All right, so Syndicate Gang, I see y'all. Y'all doing your thing. Okay. I was tempted to enter earlier, but I've been working on my patience. And me too. Me too. Honestly, there was a part of me that wanted to take that position. It would have been valid too. Like it wouldn't have been anything irrational. Like we noticed that, and the big reason I was like, you know what, I think we should take it, was because of S&P. When S&P cleared out these New York lows, it broke below. I was like, that's kind of like sweeping liquidity. And I was like, well, maybe NQ is going to do it too. So I kind of wanted to see NQ do that, but it didn't. And that's kind of what took out what had me not take it. So right now, guys, we've now successfully filled this imbalance just about. Like here's where we started to see a drop off. So this is where we might get the push down and then the buy. But yes, to be fair, this is no longer a setup I'm looking to take anymore here because of what we've been talking about. There's a good chance to take like a half risk sell on NQ here, just because this is like really having a hard time. Sat on my hands. Yes, I held my Dow sell even though price action flipped an NQ because the fastest falling, but that was part of the plan. Then I also waited on entry for Dow. Today's been disciplined. Good shit, guys. This is what I'm talking about. Yeah, look at this thing is just absolutely on a tear right now. All right, let's move on. So we got Bitcoin looking to clear these again. Man, crypto portfolio is like getting life breathed into it right now. Dear God. All right, so let's see. Basecoin memes are pushing up a bit. This thing is absolutely destroyed. Let's see. Virtual back to $1. Just about. Sick. Chainlink. Nice recovery. Let's go. Man, these are nice pickups. My Bitcoin buy. Man, Bitcoin alone, I'm up like 15% on this. Let's go. I don't know if you guys noticed. Apparently, Jupiter is going to be listed on Coinbase, allegedly. Let's see, stocks on the day. Weeble playing games. Lucid recovering, decent. Chipotle, some slight. Uber, Uber. I didn't pick anything up on here. Did I have Pfizer shorts? Remember, on this channel, we only short Pfizer. But we don't really get too many chances. All right. Who was picking up Nike? Greg, did you pick up more Nike or no? I know you were picking. I know we got some stocks in the game. Crypto challenge. Are we still talking about the crypto challenge? I mean, there's really not much going on right now. Like at least for the one that I'm in, just down. That's it. Down 40% on this one. We would start right before before Bitcoin crashed. With this, so with that being said, I think if we getting a nice pump back up into this zone, I'm open to taking out basically at entry and then finding our way back into it fresh. So I'll make a video. I'll upload something just to kind of communicate. So I would like kind of a fresh start. That way we can, one, de-risk completely, and then approach this at just better levels now that we have a completely different kind of setup going on with that. Mm-hmm. 9:30 came at 9 a.m. What does that mean exactly? 9:30 came at 9 a.m. Listen, I did nothing because I wanted to see what the open would do. Did I take any trades today? No, we were very close. So we were super close. Oh my God, what the? This thing died. It's crashing. So we had S&P buy or Dow Jones buys down here. I had mine at 47,413. And then when the market was chopping in here, I suggested that you could go half risk at right around 47,436. And then I didn't do that. But it doesn't seem like anybody else did. But obviously, we had the right bias, just not the entry. All right, so pretty big crash with Dow. And not really much happened with NQ, which is kind of weird. But so here's the thing. Indices right now are still like NASDAQ and S&P are only squeezing. So what happens when the market squeezes? What happens once the market's done squeezing? What tends to happen? They all say this today, but then guy, chill. Example yesterday, they took it and said, yeah, 1300 in a minute is like just chill, no emotions. Why didn't you trigger today then? Finger. I have no idea what you're saying right now. I don't understand whatsoever. You could write it in Spanish. I think that's your first language. Yeah, so yeah, if it's squeezing like that, you get a bigger pop. So I kind of feel like we're gonna get that here in a second. Like we can see the pop. So Dow looks like it's coming back. So we did maintain, price action for 15 minutes, filling this entire imbalance. Typically, considering the fact that this is still trading significantly higher than everything else, could still work out. Do you think the same about the stock challenge as well? Well, Webull, nah, I feel like I don't know, like Webull is less speculative as ski. So like Webull, I just long term I'm totally fine with. So it's not the biggest deal. There is a chance, like let's say I see something that's in a prime zone while Webull's like back at zero, and I think we can get more momentum there. Then maybe, but I wouldn't say that. Oh, so you're saying that people are saying they're being patient, but then. All right, that's cool. I'm gonna just move on from. I don't know what you're saying. So look, order block rejection happening really, really well here. So that did its thing first. I'm curious if this is going to sustain though. So that's why, like, the reason I don't trade a lot of these order block plays is because a lot of times there's another, let's say, another key level that it can also play out of. So sometimes these are just like this, right? It's just a little bounce, and then we get the next leg down. I want to see. I think we get another sweep. I feel like we're going to get one of these. And then we could start to see some of this move back. So let's say NQ wants to break below all of this, and then that brings Dow into this territory. Then I'm open to that. I'm seeing Nas hitting your limit. Which limit, Marty? I don't have a limit on Nas. Up here, you said? Or down there? I have no limit set right now, just to be clear. The 440 thought it was a limit. 440. Here? 440. Oh, on Dow. On Dow. You're saying this one. 47,474. I have an entry here. I maybe I misspoke, or maybe there was some confusion. So right now, let me just restate. Right now, what I'm looking at, if I would take a position, would be with Dow Jones, and it would be in this zone over here. The entry earlier I wanted an entry down here earlier, didn't get it. The market did mitigate and reject. And then we had a half entry idea that I did not take over here at 47,440. But I'm not saying that's exactly where I would take it. My entry now, my new entry, is one that I'm looking for around 47,474, right into the structure. And then we could get a bounce out of here. So that's what I'm looking at now. So here's just the exact idea that I have. I'll leave it here on the screen in case you guys just want to kind of really get 100% on this. This is rejecting the order block, though, the lower one here now. So it rejected this one first, came lower, played out of this one now. Meanwhile, we're seeing S&P deep pullback, NQ deep pullback, still not breaking lower. So we are definitely sweeping liquidity here. This might run from here now. That might have been it. So this last push down that we saw, this cleared out about 40 minutes worth of liquidity. Key reminder though, we do have news in 5 minutes, right? News in 5 minutes here. Yeah, it's a shakeout entry. So with this idea, the logic behind the Dow idea is actually, you know what? I don't know if I have it set up. Give me a sec. All right, I have to get this thing here ready. All right. So it's in the wrong spot. Just here we go. Okay, there it is. So 3.5 minutes out, we got some sideways movement here. With news, I feel like I would prefer, like I don't chase these ideas. I would prefer for us to clear these New York lows and get into this imbalance, get into this area. So if NQ makes a push down here, then that could drive Dow higher. And I'm cool with seeing that happen. If not, then we just got to move on. Like, the hardest part about Trading is understanding that some volatility is going to happen without you, and the potential to make money or to get closer to whatever achievement you're looking for. Yeah, sometimes it just happens without you. But like, unlike other things, you don't have to win this game in the next, you don't have 4 quarters, you don't have, two halves. Like, there's no expiration. So show up, do the work, and this is an infinite game. But a lot of times we're acting like this is going to expire today. Like, this is like, oh no, like, I got to score a goal. Let me get this touchdown. Like, you're just, this is always happening, the one of the most frequent thought processes, in my opinions, are the limited. It's a limited thinking. Whether it's, what if this is the last time I catch a 4R? What if this is the last time that I'm so close to passing? Because I want to feel better now. I have to take this now. No, sir. All right. We had some dollar volatility earlier, but nothing really worth much. What are metals doing? Okay. So metals actually ended up clearing out liquidity, and then now, like, getting some pretty aggressive movement. Well, gold did, silver did not. Silver actually basically created more highs. Interesting. Reminder, I did send out these over here, these setups on metals and indices. What was this setup? Australian dollar. Yeah, I see this one. Totally. Big push down, takes out some of these lows. Entries in here, entradas por aquí. No está mal, pero como libra dólar está un poco más fuerte. Más alcista. All right, guys, less than a minute out here from high impact news. Let's go dual screen real quick, just so we can kind of see what's up. Let's see how this opens. Let's see what kind of effect this has, if it's really any. Okay. Cool. Order block entry it was. There you have it, folks. So the order block entry definitely was the most profitable. This one would have been nasty. So this idea here, pretty tight stops, and I mean, this thing would be ripping. Off it goes. Nice. So this is a shakeout that's already done its thing. Clearly we saw a massive movement back up again into this level. So let me go ahead and explain this idea for you guys. So here's the logic behind a setup like this. And funny enough, this I actually think created another setup again. You have the big push down, the last move down, and then the market rallied. So there's actually an entry there. But I'll get into this in a second. So here, this is what this looks like. The logic behind this was this. Massive sell-off. So this liquidates London buyers, Asian session buyers, some of the New York session. It mitigates this. So we close out the smart money sell right there. So this is where, since the sell positions are no longer open, and now that liquidity is available for big players, the buys get injected here. So then this example, now once the market comes back up, typically when it's filling part of the imbalance or most of the imbalance, it'll either reject where we've seen previous levels of structure, support, resistance, or basically almost fill the whole thing. And then what we want is for the market to create a good amount of demand. So here the market ripped for about 20 minutes before it got that quick drop. And then the entry typically is where we've seen previous levels of support, order block, or structure. So in this example today, the market, instead of pulling back down to where it was squeezing, it preferred to trade out of this order block and where we had seen previous levels of support in the past. So that had a stronger hold than anything else here. And right now, so typically trading this, you place your stops below structure, and then this thing is flying. So that's the setup for the day here. Right now, we're seeing this target London highs. This is the news. So ADP, this is where the news event went down. Originally, where I wanted an entry.
Order filled.
Wait, that's not good. Why is there an order being filled right now?
Order filled.
What the fuck? All right, so I had to close that quickly. Apparently, I didn't close that order. Is that open somewhere else? Hold on. This is the downside of streaming. You're in trades that you're not supposed to be in. All right, did I lose anything? Oh, no. I lost $15 on each account. I'm down bad. I swear these orders weren't on here, though. Whatever. All right, anyways. Cool. So, I'm not selling in this zone, even though it did give us a little rejection. How did I even lose money? This instantly came down into profit. But the reason I'm not looking to pull the trigger here, despite taking out a lot of liquidity from the last couple hours, is, look at S&P, look at NQ. These easily can rip and fill the rest of this imbalance. So looking to short in the middle of this, not my favorite thing to do. Could it happen? Sure. You have structure here. You have a previous level of support. It's a strong level. Sometimes the markets reverse this. Some people trade like this. They'll trade. It's a break and retest. I don't trade like that, but I get it, and that aligned with where we're at with Dow. I could understand why someone would still want to take this. I believe there's probably a lot of traders that are smart money traders that are going to take this. However, part of what I do is I don't trade in one asset. I trade the asset class. So if the asset class, which would include S&P and NQ, if this has all of this imbalance to fill, I would rather be under the expectation that that's probably going to happen, and I'd prefer that trade instead. So I would rather wait for NQ and then sell NQ instead. And I'm only going to take half R here because there's definitely vulnerabilities. This isn't an A+ setup because there is basically liquidity up here. So this is the lagger, but then there's liquidity. So they kind of takes away from it. But yeah, as soon as I got order filled, I was like, yo, what the fuck? What is open? But, not a big deal. To me, it looks like a little trend of liquidity where your stop loss is. Mike, for which idea was that, Brandon? What news is happening? Right now, it was ISM services. So this is just more of a level of diffusion index based on surveying purchasing managers. Basically, a look into supply management. This is not like a red folder news. This is like a light red folder news typically. This isn't your interest rates. This isn't your NFP. It's not CPI or PPI, but it's something, you know. It'll create chaos like we're seeing right now. So that's what that was. For news, you can check out Forex Factory. You have there's other options too. Yeah. RIP, I think you should just give me the accounts at this point. If you crash out, it's valid. Nah, it's good. We're good. Oh, yo, right now, since you guys are asking about Tradefy, my code, MAGO, on the right, it's actually 35% off right now. So it's 35% off if you're doing one-day pass evals or if you're doing instant funding. Oh, you know what? They were announcing some new account today. Oh, shit. I wanted to check that out. I forgot. Let's see here. Hold on. Let me see. They're doing this one thing where it was going to be like same day payouts or something. So let me double check. The advance went away. I knew that. Yeah, that went away. But today they had on their own Tradefy TV, they had something that they were dropping. So let's see. No. Major announcements. Okay, so here it is. So it's called the Select Plan. 2 powerful options. Gives traders a structured 3-day valuation with cleaner, less restricted funded rules. After you pass, you choose your path. So you either can get large payouts every 5 days, no daily loss limit, or you get daily payouts. 40% off of those. So the new live program, and then the live has been updated too. All right, hold on. Let me look at this shit. Y'all want me to look at this or not? Not really. All right, I'm curious. I'm gonna look at it. So daily payouts, 5-day payouts. Okay. Choose your funded path, the new Select Plan. Daily or 5-day payouts, no consistency once you're funded, and end of day drawdown. Okay. So funding in 3 days, $160 a month. So your profit target is 2,500. 2,500. That's less. Okay, so it's easier. End of day drawdown, 2,000. No daily loss limit. Consistency is 40%. Okay, so you got to pass it in 3 days. No activation fee. That's nice. And then either you can take a payout daily, but it's max 1,000 a day. Okay. No consistency rule once you're funded. So if you hit it in 1 day, then that's fine. You have a daily loss limit of 1,000 if you're doing the daily payouts. So so your total drawdown stays the same as 2,000. So that's pretty much standard. If you want to be able to withdraw every day, then your max drawdown is this a soft breach or is this a max? I don't know. Looks like it's probably a hard breach of 1,000. That's not bad. That's kind of cool to have. Like, I think this is a good one to have, like an account like that where it's like, this is your consistent payout account. And then if you're wanting to get paid out like typical 5 days of trading 3,000 max. That's not bad for the 50Ks. Okay. So the targets are a lot. These are pretty much similar to Top Step, at least the profit targets. But I mean, $1,000 a day, like you're chilling. That's cool. Yeah, these are good options, honestly. Yeah, the discount is lit here. Yeah, try the code. Try the Mago code. Otherwise, if that's not the case, like if you whatever reason, if you're getting a better discount using a different code, then just use the code that's gonna get you the most. Just use this link, anyways. So I'll just drop it here in the chat. All right, Tradify link. So click that, and then from there, worst case, it doesn't. If you get a better discount with something else, also get the affiliate if you use that link. And then I think once I have 1,000 in affiliates, then I'm able to. Then they'll actually like pay. And then once we get that, then I'm able to do tons of account giveaways. So that'll be pretty easy. Because all I'm doing with the affiliate profits is I'm just gonna do giveaways here. The consistency rules doesn't mean you have to trade every day. It just means that it's you just can't have one big day that is like why you're getting paid out. So if that's one thing that people get wrong, like a consistency rule is not, it's like this, for example. So let me, do you guys want to see what that means exactly? So here's what consistency targeted means. Just to make sure, like anyone because this is in like a lot of different prop firms have this, right? The consistency target rule. What does this mean? So if you see it says like, for example, with this one, right, it's like is 40%. So 40%. What this means is your highest trading day can be 40% of the total profit target. So if your profit target is, if target is 3,000, max profits in one day can be 1,200. So that's the most you can make in one day. So you do like, let's say 1,200 one day, 1,200 the other day, and then the other day, the last day, it would be 600. So you couldn't go above that. If you do go above it, which you can, let's say you end up just having a big day and the market's moving fast, and you end up making 1,500. So the max profits in one day can be 1,200 in order to pass at 3,000. If you happen to make more, then your target goes up. So if you hit max 1,500 in one day, that's 40% of the target. So now you'd have to hit 1,500 is 40%. So the other 0.6, the other 60% would be more. So if we're saying your target would be not 3,000, but what does math look like for this? Let me see. Let me get this calculator. So now you're looking at, if you divide it by 40, so now your target is 3,750. Yeah. So if you go overboard, now since this is now your 40%, so now you do have to make more. So you're better off just capping it at this. Doesn't mean you have to trade every day or anything like that. So consistency rule is kind of like, it's not about you consistently trading. It's just about I think it should be rebranded, to be honest. Like, I don't think it's titled really well. But yeah, that's what this means. So if your rule for, so for the instant fundeds, for the first payout, it's 20%. Right. So let's say we'll do the 20% one. If your profit target is 3,000, then your max is going to be 600 in the day. So if you go over, well, that's your new 20%. So for example, I went over by so for me, my target is, let's say if it's 9,000, then typically I want to make max 1,800 to pass at 9,000. If you go over, then, so like for example, I went over and I hit 1875 by accident. Now that's my 20%. So 1875 divided by 0.20. Now my target goes up to 9,375. So you just do your max day. So you take max daily profit divided that point by 0.20. That's how you get a new target. So if you do go overboard, that's how that works. But on their back office, they'll show you too. All right. Does that make sense? Any questions regarding that, guys? All right. Cool. Okay. Where are we at? Okay. I mean, if you guys did take this short, got a decent drop. Could have made a little bit of money there. Not too shabby. I am leaning towards a possible buy in here later on. So we saw this sweep the order block, play out of here, and then run again. So I might look for a buy in here. Otherwise, like I mentioned earlier, the half R sell up here is what I like. It's got some potential. But that's really it, guys. That's all I have for y'all today. Let's see if crypto is gonna keep ripping or not. Bitcoin with a little bit of a mitigation as well. And then let stocks do what stocks do. All right. Well, y'all, appreciate you for hanging out today. As always, if you want access to the free community, scan the code on the left. And then if you're looking for hands-on work, we have some slots here on the right. So that's our 1-year program. That's it. Like, we're working on your trading every single day together is basically it. Shout out if you're all in here in the syndicate gang. I know y'all deep in this now. We just hit, I think, a little bit. I think right around 60 members. So it's going. I love it. I love what we're seeing here. I want to shout out a couple people. Shout out the boy, Eric Yamane, who's been working with me for the last couple years. Just had his first 5-figure day. Let's go. But best thing you can do right now, guys, is go journal a little bit if you did trade, if you did anything really. Even if you didn't take positions, but you want to just kind of do a recap on your day, I think that's valuable. But anyways, guys, much love. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll be in the community, so I'll keep you guys updated on any positions that I may or may not be evaluating. So peace. Take care.